So it was a beautiful morning in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in September, and I was in the operating room. I'm a cancer surgeon. We were taking care of a patient that had a large cancer in his neck, and he was asleep, and we were moving along as we always do, working away, dissecting the tissues, finding the places that the cancer was and wasn't, and trying to separate the two. It's tricky work. It's meticulous work, and it takes concentration. Suddenly the door opens up. One of my colleagues bursts in the room and announces that a plane has crashed into one of the towers. He says it's showing the picture over and over again. They're looping it on television and going over this terrible tragedy. Nobody knows what's going on, and he's talking away, and then he just bursts out of the room, runs back over to the lounge where he can watch television again. And we were kind of stunned. This is kind of a sacrosanct place. We're in the operating room. It's quiet. We don't know what's going on in the outside world, and the outside world has burst in on us for just a few minutes. So we continue. We keep working, and it's slow work, and we're taking our time, and the door opens again, and he comes bursting back in again. And this time he says another plane has crashed into the second tower. And he rushes back out again. And a few minutes later, he bursts back in and says that the president's been on television announcing that terrorists are behind the disaster. We finally just tell him he's got to stop. We've got to concentrate. We've got to take care of this patient and get our work done. And so he leaves us. And a few minutes later, we finally finish up, and we go to the recovery room with the patient, realizing the man has gone to sleep in one world, and as we learn what has happened, he's waking up in a completely different world. For several years, I continued to follow him in the office. I'd see him about once a year, and we'd go over not only his cancer follow-up, but we would have a conversation about what had happened that day. I would say what I had remembered, he would tell me what he remembered, and then finally one day I didn't need to see him anymore. He'd been out cancer-free for several years, but that was one of those things that tied us together and kept us understanding how our worlds had both changed on that morning of September 11th.